Hello and welcome back to the plot. Today is a little bit of a change in the weather. It's wet all week and cloudy, and this is one of the very few dry days we've got, so no more of the blue skies, just our normal weather that you don't often get to see because I'm an indoor person when the wet weather comes. Anyway, so what we're on about is Ruth Stout. So I've done a 1-year trial with this method, and in the middle I was faltering. I was thinking this was going to be a failure, but the results tell different. This video is going to be split up in 2 parts. First of all, just the introduction to the different topics that were successes and failures, then the middle section reviewing the different elements, and then the end part, the outro, that draws the conclusions that I feel are important from anybody else that's considering doing this sort of thing. So here's a quick list of things that worked and things that didn't, with the main headline surprises were the zero watering, the ease of cropping, and the ground so readily available fruit. And it all started back in January last year. This is back a year ago when I was first gathering up the hay from the field of the grass that had been cut. So materials were free for me. That may not be the case for you, and you will have to weigh up the cost of buying hay in. You can use straw, but hay is the stuff that I used. This dismal video is in February last year, just showing the pad completed. I didn't have any better video. Now this is a key moment. As predicted, the couch grass was poking through the hay. And something I haven't seen anybody else do, but I did, was I moved all the grass around to bury the newly emerging shoots. So it was exhausting the roots below and not letting the couch grass take over, which was a problem I knew I did face. And it was just as easy as moving the hay around on the patch. Nothing more difficult than that. Planting time for the potatoes was very simple. Just a matter of striking out rows, moving the hay aside, and putting a potato in the hole, and then moving the hay back in. It was as simple as that. I did put further material under a couple of rows, and that worked better. But at a push, just the hay alone did work. But here's the real problem: voles. You see all the gaps and the bits with sticks in and all that? This is all areas where the potatoes did not grow because the voles basically moved them around. I don't know, sort of like a dung beetle would move dung around. Well, they did the same with the potatoes. So I found them quite a distance away, and it had to be voles because there can't be any other critters that could have done that. Rats would have gnawed them, but voles just moved them around and stopped them rooting. I replanted some, like the silly little potatoes that you can see there, but they didn't grow in time, because in July we had a big blight episode that you can see in the background now. So the year was curtailed quite early, especially for those younger potatoes, but I still got a reasonably good harvest off them. That's nothing to do with the Ruth Stout method. That would have been the same in any non-sprayed potato in any method. I removed all the foliage very quickly after infection because I kind of knew I was liable to it. So I whipped all that foliage off, which definitely did pay dividends. Nothing to do with Ruth Stout, of course, but that was the story of the potatoes. The actual harvesting was really easy, moving the hay aside and picking off the potatoes. The actual harvest amounts were pretty decent. The odd bit didn't work so well. The hay alone didn't work quite so well, and I did get the predicted slug damage, but very few potatoes, and the odd potato had blight. That's nothing to do with the Ruth Stout method. I keep on saying this, I know, but I want to make sure there's a difference. So the harvesting was a very easy process. Definitely something I would repeat again. So my conclusion for this method was that in the end it was an extremely useful process. It's prepared the ground lovely for the next crop that I want to go near, which will be fruit bushes. The ground is perfect condition. There's very little weed. This green that you can see down my feet is a mixture of seedlings of the couch grass and the ordinary grass and Phacelia. This is not a problem. That will be beaten by easy ground preparation, so that's not necessarily a problem at all. The rhizomatous roots from the couch grass haven't been shown to be here. Every time I've dug for the raspberries or the red currants, there's none there. It seems to have worn itself out trying to get through the hay. So it's been quite a win really. The problems are the voles. We will see if that becomes a long-term problem or not. Time will tell, and I will come back to you if it does, because honesty is the best policy. But the only thing to take note, if you're going to do it yourself, is that the big tap-rooted weeds aren't bothered by the Ruth Stout method. There is a couple of big docks in here that really are not affected by the grass at the top. They will push through and they will be unaffected by the process. There we go. I guess in the end, a lot of this will come down to cost. Mine was free because I had a grass field last year that was cut, so that all the material was ready available and I didn't know what to do with it. Well, this was an obvious solution. It's worked. It's all for free and it's great. If you had to buy hay bales, then it's up to the cost, because it is quite a lot of material that you have to use for this. If you're in vole country, I would thoroughly recommend, sorry, the pheasant's kicking off. I would thoroughly recommend that you consider modifying the system a little bit. This year I'm rolling forward into March. When I start planting out my potatoes into this patch, you'll notice I do something different. Well, you'll have to wait till that video comes out so that I explain to you. When I plant out in this section here, I'll be using heavy doses of mulch in the name of wood chips to keep any weed base subdued, and away we go for next year. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.